guys? How y'all doing today? Happy Tuesday, and coming at you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what a spiritual awakening is. What does it mean when people say I'm going through an awakening or I'm going through a spiritual awakening? What does it mean? What does that mean exactly? So guys, those of you who don't know me, my name is Arlessa-Wise, and I am a soul and mindset coach geared toward helping people identify where they need to heal their past traumas, how to change their mindset in order to help facilitate that, as well as moving that energy and that trauma out of the body to create a mind, body, and soul balance. So with that being said, let's get into the video, guys. So what is a spiritual awakening? Okay, so I think that there are some misconceptions, and you know me, those who follow me, I love to talk about misconceptions. And so here's one with a spiritual awakening. When people hear spiritual awakening, sometimes they automatically think that somebody is finding God, or they're going through like a religious journey, or it has to do with church, or any type of religious constructs, etc., etc. So that's not it at all. Actually, a spiritual awakening is when you become more self-aware. Let's say not more self-aware. When you become more aware of your higher self, your own soul's purpose, okay? It's where you start to make those shifts and start to see things differently and start to step into your true self and who you are. And the reason a spiritual awakening or an awakening can be chaotic and not as like, ooh, rainbows, unicorns, and flowers as we would love it to be, is because you're literally deconditioning yourself through the process. And what it means to decondition yourself is that, okay, let me give you an example. So as children, when our parents raise us, or whoever raises you at the time, you're raised in according to how your parents were raised, what they were taught, how they learned. I was raised through a Pentecostal religion. So for me, deconditioning myself from being somebody moving and operating from that place was pretty challenging for me. I went through a lot of different phases, but the thing is that we are brought up like our parents, or the people who are raising us, how they were raised. So essentially, and this isn't saying anything wrong about parenting or whatever, because everybody's doing things for the first time, just learning along. Parents are also learning, just like their children are learning. So it's not necessarily necessarily a bad thing. It's just that this is how society works, is that we raise our children like we were raised, or raise our children according to our own beliefs, right? That's typically what parents do when they raise their children. And so when children are raised that way into believing certain things, and maybe later on in life they are like, I don't know if I really believe this. I don't know if this is necessarily me. So we're actually raised to be conditioned into other people in a sense, instead of really searching for who we are and what allows us to thrive individually, right? In school, we're all taught the same way, when everybody learns differently. This is just what happens. This is part of it, but this is also what we're trying to change by talking about stuff like this. But deconditioning yourself and finding out who your true self is. So whenever a shift happens, it could be something huge. It could be something that someone says, and you're just like, wait a minute. And then you start to really think about that. And then you start to, ask questions and start to look into things, and then you start to critically think. And instead of what people are telling you to believe or telling you to think based on what they've learned, you're starting to deconstruct that, and then critically think and think for yourself and mold your own opinions. And then so deconstructing and deconditioning how we've been conditioned can be chaotic, because you tend to lose your sense of self, because your sense of self was based on what other people were telling you it was based on. So when you go through a spiritual awakening, you're connecting to your soul's true purpose and why you're here. And so peeling back those layers and understanding, who you are beyond those layers, and getting to the core and the root of everything, the seed when you were first planted in this life, can be chaotic, because you're unlearning and then learning new ways about things. Your version of your reality consistently and will continue to evolve and change. So your reality is being broke down completely, because who you thought you were or who you thought you should be, the decisions you thought you should make, the relationships you think you should have. Then you tack on trauma along the way and past experiences and things that, muggy up the channel. We don't really know who we are, right? Most of the time. We just know who we think we want to be based on comparison or what other people have led us to believe or how we were conditioned or raised. Like I said, not all of these things are malicious and they're not done in a way to hinder us. It just is the way that society was for a long time. Still is. But like I said, we're breaking those paradigms down because people are meant to find out their true authentic self and what allows them to thrive and move and what best works with them in their life. This is why human design is such an important thing. And I've mentioned it a couple of times. I'm starting to get really into that. Is everybody has a specific human design. And when you look into what makes up your human design, then you really can start to tweak those things and understand who you are, who you came into this world to be. Not necessarily who you came to be, let's say the experiences and the things that you're meant to do, the messages and the energy that you're meant to bring forth into this life to help others or help yourself or whatever your specific design is for, then you can really start to understand the things that move you and the things that light you up. And whenever you start to follow that feeling of feeling good and doing what feels right in alignment, things just start to happen, guys, right? And then we're not met with so much resistance. So a spiritual awakening or an awakening of sorts is where you start to shift out of those conditioned ways of viewing things that were taught to you. This is where you start to take control of your own knowledge and the things that you can expand on and the new things that you can learn and your openness and your willingness to learn, okay? And awakening is also understanding that you have things to learn, right? Because some people get really fixated in their own belief systems and their own notions, and they ride it all the way through, staying closed-minded, thinking that this is the only way. And again, we are also conditioned into believing that to a certain degree. And so whenever somebody becomes more open-minded and starts asking questions and starts wanting to know more and starts changing their belief system because maybe that belief system doesn't resonate with them because they've started to see things in a different way, that is an awakening. When you start to shift and change your perspectives and the way that you see things, and you start to gain that personal empowerment in order to make decisions based on your own facilities and your own knowledge and your own expansion, then that's when things happen. And that is a spiritual awakening. And the thing is once you start this awakening, that's one layer. And then it just continues to just layers open. You have a better understanding. Oh, okay, this is what this really looks like. This is what this really feels like. And out comes another layer. And then you're just always a work in progress, right? So it's also spiritual awakening is the beginning of also your transformative journey. You can even trigger your own awakening by listening to somebody or maybe watching my video or somebody else's video and hearing just something that they say. And you're like, wait a minute. And then boom, there's a trigger. There's a trigger there within you. And then here is that spark of awakening where you start to take control of your own life and your own thoughts and your own patterns and your own habits and everything based on you. What is really you? What is your authentic self? Okay, guys, so a spiritual awakening doesn't have anything to do with religion. It has to do with aligning to your soul's purpose. That's why it's a spiritual awakening, because it is very spiritual, it's very personal, it's very deep, it's very in there, and it resonates because we are all here for a purpose. And I know that there's a lot of people in the world that don't think that, but I urge you to look into your human design. I urge you to start to look into the different ways and things that you can tweak things in order to thrive more in your life and step into your true purpose where you need to heal. The healing journey is a spiritual awakening because you're tuning into your soul to find out what you need to do to have that fulfillment. So guys, when you go through a spiritual awakening, it's you connecting to your true soul's purpose. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you're enjoying my content, give me a like, give me a share, like my YouTube video. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited about this. And just thank you for being you and taking the time to watch. All right, guys, have a good day.